Well, let's do a little bit of Witchfire today. So I probably should have started recording these videos a little bit earlier. Didn't really even think about recording this at first. Just started playing a couple days ago. So I'm actually relatively high level already, up to 42. So eventually I'll just wipe the account and start over again. But I thought I would just do kind of a run through of the basics on the game. This game has an incredibly steep learning curve in the beginning. You will die a lot in the beginning. Until you kind of understand the enemy types and get the basics of the game. On the other hand, though, it is very enjoyable, being that it is more difficult, kind of more, I guess, kind of survival shooter-esque, where you can lose your loot when you die. So that's definitely a lot of fun. But just thought I would go over a lot of the basics. So, for instance, these are your stats, and basically each time you level up one of these, you're gaining a level. And so they all start at 10, and then they're going to increase as you put Witchfire points into them. Each of them has an associated cost. So you can see in the bottom right there, it's saying it's 11,608 Witchfire to upgrade one of these. And so it doesn't matter what level it is. So you can see like my level 21 is the same as my level 12. They both cost the exact same amount. So basically your overall level is what it's basically doing instead of individual stats. As for the stats, Vitality, in my honest opinion, is one of the most useless stats. You get such a minuscule amount of Vitality increase. It's just much better in this game to just not take damage in general if you can. Just avoid the damage. And the key to that is actually Endurance. So this is the stat I really recommend you dump into in the beginning, because the faster you move and the more often you have your stamina regenerated where you need it to be is going to really help you a lot. This is a stat that I basically dumped into in the beginning, and it helped me a lot. Whereas Vitality, you can see I'm only getting 4 points. I mean, that's really not much health. Then you have Healing. Healing's another one that I actually think is kind of useless depending on how you build your character. There's actually an item that I have right now that basically negates the need for this stat, and I'll show you that a little bit later. But this basically does increase the amount of healing you get when you use a healing potion and how long the healing lasts. Then of course, I mean, Endurance is just overall great. You get the stamina regen speed, and how far you dash. So again, Endurance, a really good stat in my opinion. Then another stat that's actually really good as you start to level up is your Witchery. This actually increases the recharge rate of your spells. So your light spell and your heavy spell. I don't use the light spells a lot. I've got to get better about using those, but the heavy spells on the other hand are pretty cool and can be extremely useful. So this one's good to upgrade to increase your spell recharge speed. The Witchfire bonus here, this basically just gives you more Witchfire in the round. You're just getting more Witchfire dropped, which yes, that's nice, but you can just do another round and get more Witchfire. So it makes you more efficient in the round. Is that really an important stat to dump into when you could just do a couple extra rounds more quickly? I don't know. It's kind of up to you on that one. And Luck. Luck is another one I've actually really started to put a lot more points into, basically because it does increase your chance of certain special items like drops in the map and chests, things like that. But the most important part of this is actually for the calamities. So when you first start playing, you're not going to get really many calamities in the beginning. Calamities will wreck your round. If you have a calamity trigger and you cannot get to it and stop it in time, your round is done. You will die. So I've started to put some more points into Luck to try to lower the occurrences of calamities. I mean, at my level now, I still can even get 3 or 4 calamities in a round, and they can be absolutely devastating if you don't react to them right away. So in my opinion, Luck, as you start to level up, becomes much more important, I think. It does seem to be lowering the frequency of them a little bit. But of course, this is one of those hidden stats. It doesn't really tell you how it's affecting it, but in my opinion, it does seem like I'm getting less frequent calamities for putting points into this. I'll have to experiment with it more. So that's basically the leveling system. And then let's go take a look at the Research Center. Now this unlocks at level 3. And when you unlock this, you basically get to start upgrading different things. So for instance, right here, you have your weapons that you can research, learn new weapons. I've already unlocked the close range and the medium range. I'm starting to work on the long range just to see what weapons are in there. I have a feeling the long range weapons aren't going to be very effective because this game is really important to be up close and in your face on your targets. The closer you are to your targets, the more damage you're doing. When you're plinking at guys from really far away, you basically are doing no damage. So I have a feeling the long range weapons really aren't going to be that long range. I'm assuming you're going to have to be much closer to really make them effective. I still got to test that though. Then you have the demonic weapon. Right now there's only one, basically the crossbow. This weapon is great. I mean, it does do a ton of damage. You hit your main target and then it seeks out other targets around it and does significant damage to them. So you can wipe out a ton of trash mobs very, very quickly. But you have to be extremely accurate. You have to hit. It's not like you get a ton of bullets with this. It uses a special demonic ammunition. And if you're missing your shots with it, you're basically just wasting this completely. So you want to make sure you're hitting your targets. Take your time and aim when you're using this weapon. Then you have your light spells and heavy spells. Researching these will unlock new light and heavy spells. The light spells, like I said earlier, I haven't really been using them as much as I probably should. I kind of even forget to use them half the time because I find them less effective. It's probably the spell I was using. I just switched to a different spell that I need to start testing out and using. Now, the heavy spells, though, I do enjoy quite a bit. I have 2 unlocked right now. And I'll show you those in a minute, but I find the heavy spells way more useful. They can be really fun. Then magical items. This is another one that I really recommend dumping research into right away. Basically, you can get your 3 different types of items, a fetish, a ring, a relic. These items are augments to your character, and they can be some really good bonuses. So really recommend doing some research into the magical items quickly. Then you have the Arcana. Now this is cool. I've been starting to do this a little bit more recently, where this actually, how to describe this? So basically when you're in the round and you kill a group of monsters, you'll get basically a gem drop, a crystal drop that you can interact with that allows you to get temporary boosts for the round you're in. The boosts that you get are a specific set of boosts, and it randomly kind of picks through those. Doing the Arcana actually gives you more potential boosts, so different kinds of boosts that affect you in different ways. So I've been upgrading this more recently, and there are some pretty cool new boosts I've been seeing come in that are really fun to play with. Then you have the second incantation and the third. This really is used for upgrading your equipment. So when you get a piece of equipment, you're level 1 with it, you can upgrade the equipment. And as you're upgrading that equipment, it gets to level 2. Then when you're using your weapon again, you basically have to get kills with it. And you will need to use this to upgrade it to level 2, past 2. And then the third upgrade. So your second upgrade and your third upgrade. The first upgrade you can do, and then you need this to do the second upgrade and this to do the third upgrade. And this basically increases your weapon stats. I'll show you that in a second. Then you have this. I really haven't used at all. I just don't think it's that useful. I'm getting levels anyways with Witchfire, which this just gives you a boost to one of your stats, so I don't know if it counts to your level. I do have to test that. I haven't even used it yet, but I would assume that it basically makes you 1 level higher because it boosts one of your stats, and your stats are your levels. So if I'm just getting Witchfire anyways, I would rather do research on other things. I guess this would be useful once I'm like out of research. Then you have these. These actually aren't even in yet, so I can't tell you anything about them. This is something that'll eventually be put in since this game is still in development, of course. The Shadow Cube also is something else I can't do yet, something that should be unlocked later, it appears. So I haven't done anything with the Shadow Cube. So that's kind of research in a nutshell. Then over here you have your weapons and equipment. So with the weapons and equipment, the hand cannon is actually, even though it's the weapon you start with, it is really good when you fully upgrade it. So when you fully upgrade this, as you get the levels, you're getting more bonuses to this weapon. This, in my opinion, is actually a really solid weapon. It does a pretty good amount of damage. You get some great bonuses to your criticals. You have a chance to do some freeze if you're really good with your shots. The charged bullets can be really useful. So this weapon overall can be really, really nice. I do like this weapon. It's also very good at stunning enemies. You can stun them out with this very well. But then my second favorite weapon, and luckily I rolled this one kind of right in the beginning, so I got stuck on this weapon right away, the auto rifle. It's basically a machine gun. This weapon is great. It sprays ammo. And again, it's only effective against certain types of targets, pretty much soft targets. Once you hit the armored targets and things like that, and the guys with shields, this is less effective. But overall, I do find this weapon to be a really great pair to the hand cannon. Then, of course, you have your demonic weapon, the only one that we have available right now, which is the crossbow. This is what uses the demonic ammunition. You only get the demonic ammunition in the round. You don't start with any, so ammo boxes will drop it. There's other special events that you can use to get demonic ammo. So, again, you have a limited supply of this ammo, so you really want to use it sparingly and aim those shots. Then you have your spells. So this is actually the light spells. With the light spells, what I was talking about with these guys is actually, so I only have 2 right now. I was using the shockwave originally, and yes, it does stun the minor enemies, and it was more effective to me in the beginning, but as I leveled up, this really became almost useless because a lot of the enemies get upgraded. They're not minor enemies anymore, they're more like elites. And then this is kind of useless against them. And so yeah, okay, it exhausts the major ones, but I find this not very useful in general. Maybe I'm just not using it effectively enough. But overall, I just don't use it very much. So I just actually switched to this one, the Frost Cone. I'm going to start trying this one out, see if this one's more useful. Now, as for the heavy spells, on the other hand, though, I really like these. This is the one I'm using right now, which I really enjoy. It's called the Iron Cross. Now, the Iron Cross itself, actually, basically, you put a cross floating in the air at a designated spot that you're kind of aiming at, and this will actually send lightning out to shock everything around you. And it works really well to kind of stun and lock up enemies and kind of bunch them up, so it makes it a lot easier to just kill them all together. So I do find this one extremely useful. The other one that I have is the Curse Bell, which is also cool, but the Curse Bell, you actually have to shoot the bell. So it like summons a bell in the air. And then you have to shoot the bell to get it to trigger to basically affect and stun all the nearby enemies. So it's kind of like an upgraded version of that light spell that's supposed to stun everything in the area. So this one was fun in the beginning, but I really find the Iron Cross to be really enjoyable. Now, you have your relics, fetishes, and rings. These are the ones I was saying you really want to kind of throw some research into right away because you get a random one. And it could be one from any of these slots. So, for instance, the ring. Right now I do have 3 different rings. I was using this one in the beginning. It actually basically leaves a little bomb behind you when you dash. The bomb is not much damage. It's only 40 damage. It's not a huge range. Again, in the beginning it was cool. Don't find it as useful now. I actually switched over to the Shadow Mist ring. I eventually need to use Crown of Fire too and try this one out. This would be kind of useful if I'm trying to do like a fire build. But one thing actually, also this submachine gun overheats and you can actually light the targets on fire anyways. So this may not be as useful unless I'm using a different weapon. Now, as for the Shadow Mist ring though, this thing is awesome. This is kind of a get out of jail free card. It allows you to dash through enemies and turn into basically a mist for a second and pass through them. It is great. It allows you to get out of some really sticky situations when you need to. You can just dash right through them, and you also have a chance to freeze them once you fully upgrade this to 3. So that's also just a nice little added bonus. But in general, I find this one way more useful in my playthroughs. Then with the fetish, okay, so with the fetish, this is the fetish I was talking about that kind of negates the healing attribute. So when you use this, you literally fully restore your health. So having the healing stat increase to increase your healing kind of is null and void while you're using this item because you already heal the full health when you use an elixir. So the other cool thing is that it also gives you some bonuses as well. you get an increased spell recharge, speed, regeneration speed, and bonus health. This only applies, though, until you take damage. So it's a bonus after you heal, and then once you take damage, you lose those bonuses, but if you can live for quite a while without taking damage, you can get some pretty significant bonuses. I mean, 30% spell recharge speed is huge. And then stamina regeneration speed plus 140%. I mean, that's really nice. The bonus health, I mean, that's okay too. But again, in this game, you just really don't want to be taking damage if you can. You really just want to avoid damage in general. Then for the relics. So with the relics, actually have... Oh, actually, sorry. With the fetishes, I do have a couple other ones. But again, this one seems so effective. I don't really use the other ones much. But I do have this, so when you're low on health, basically if you take damage, you're releasing like a shockwave around you. Again, any item that makes you take damage to make it work is counterproductive in this game. You really, again, just don't want to be taking damage if you can. Same with this item. When you are below half health, killing enemies, you can basically turn their Witchfire into healing essence. So again, you're losing your Witchfire and you're healing yourself. So okay, you're healing yourself, but you got to be below half health, and that is a dangerous area. When you get below half health, things can get really bad really quickly if you get frozen or stunned in some way, and then all of a sudden you go from half health to dead. So again, something that keeps you at low health, I mean, it's a real risk-reward kind of deal there, and I just prefer this item over that, so I really haven't played with these very much. Now you have your relics. With the relics, these are kind of cool. I actually used the Book of Serpents for a while. I found this one to be a lot of fun. This item actually causes the targets to have a decay on them, which basically weakens the targets, and also starts to slowly kind of grind them down. But also, this is cool. It basically has a chance to instantly kill something that hits you. But again, we're talking about, oh, I've got to get hurt for this to take effect. And again, I'm shying away from these items more and more, finding it's just better to avoid the damage in general. So again, this can be really cool, but you're having to take damage to make it work. So I actually switched over to the Eye of the Mad Woman. This one is a lot of fun. I also have the Painted Tooth. This could be useful. I'm debating that though, because again, my autogun, my machine gun, basically lights things on fire and ignites them anyways when I overheat it. So, okay, my critical shots on full health enemies ignite them, but you're talking full health, so that's just the first shot. So is that really that useful, considering I can just ignite them at any time? So I haven't really used this one. Now this one, on the other hand, this one's fun. So this one will just nuke things. So as you're hitting targets, when you get them low on health, it'll basically strike them with a lightning bolt that does some pretty good damage. And it'll just drop targets for you. So if you're shooting something and you need to jump behind cover, but it's low health, this thing will just zap them and take care of them for you. So very, very useful, I think, that item. So that's basically the setup I have right now. So I do have some of the other guns unlocked. I mean, you got the Cricket and the Echo. These are both kind of like the close-range shotguns. I didn't even really use the Cricket at all yet. The Echo, and I didn't really use it because I was so disappointed by the Echo. This gun, it's really slow, it's really clunky, and you have to be right on top of your target. I mean, it's a shotgun, so that makes sense, but... And it's got really low ammo, so I didn't like this weapon. Maybe if I paired it with the auto rifle, ran the auto rifle and the shotgun, maybe that could work, but I just really enjoy the hand cannon right now. I've got to really start working on upgrading these other ones to try them out and really actually get them fully upgraded and see how effective they can be. I just really enjoy these two so much more right now. So that's the basics of the weapons and the upgrades and the levels. Oh, no, there's a couple other things down here real quick just to show you. Basically, you have your healing potions. Right now, we just basically have just one healing potion that you can make. So it's like your brew station here. Definitely like the graphics in this game. Looks really nice. Very pretty. So basically, you can go up to this brew station, and inside the rounds, you're looking for these plants. when you collect them, you can actually use them to brew your potions. You can only have 30 of them total, so basically right now I can brew a few more potions. Oh, it's bugging. Oh, there we go. Okay, so I'm maxed on potions now, and I still have a bunch of these left over that I can't use right now because I'm maxed on potions. So that's okay. Then there's one other thing here in the very beginning. I really only looked at this right at the very beginning when I first started, but basically it's like a little tutorial. It'll kind of walk you through some of the very, very basics of the game. It'll teach you a few things about what you can do. And you actually can like activate that sigil over there, and it'll do some icons on the floor here that'll kind of walk you through some of the basics of how to kill targets and things like that. So yeah, that's pretty much the basics of Witchfire. I will basically take you into a round in just a little bit here. I'm just going to pause for a minute here, go take care of some stuff real quick, and then I'll be back and give you a full run-through on one of the rounds. So, see you in a little bit. Thanks.